In this video, we're looking at guns and gun givers. I'm going to go to the sample folder for the first-person shooter in the project, and I'm going to grab the gun giver from the furniture folder. And then in the elements folder, I'm going to grab the barrel mouse look, and the barrel remote. The barrel is the version you see in your own hands in third-person view. The barrel mouse view is the one you see in mouse view, which you get to by zooming in on the mouse wheel. The barrel remote is what other players see. It's positioned the same as the barrel, but it has less scripts on it, so it's more efficient on our network. The other unique assets for each gun are the muzzle flash, the bullet, the crosshair, and the animation override. Let's look at the gun barrel. The scripting runtime has 6 public variables. Bullet type will be referenced in the ammo crates and the gun bar on the HUD. We recommend keeping fire rate down to a max of 8 bullets per second. We are planning to implement networked pooling for bullets, so we can send multiple bullets in one message, but we haven't done that yet. The range is up to you, and you have the ability to set the guns to do more or less damage to non-player characters or other players as you see fit. In the resources, you can see we have the pool bullet. This is a particle effect at impact. I'm going to add my own bullet now. You can set show hits to 0 if you don't want other players to see each other's bullets. The other resource on the barrel is the third-person animator. This is the animation override for idle, walk and run while carrying the gun. You can come in and replace the animations in our basic controller here. You can add more too if you want to. Animations not referenced in here, for instance jumping, will default back to our standard AO. Notice on the movement blend tree we blend through 3 sets of idle. That's to avoid the appearance of walking on the spot when you're almost but not completely stationary. Then you can see we have slots for damage and death. You can do all sorts of interesting stuff here that links back to the animator on the combat meter, which you will have seen in the previous video, looking at the safe zone lobby. Remember there we set the overall time of the death sequence. That's the time between dying and respawning. It defaults to 5 seconds. If my death animation here is longer or shorter than that, I'll want to adjust the parameter on the combat meter to match. We also have an event, which is the muzzle flash. This references the particle effect you place at the end of the gun. And lastly, you can see one object reference. This is the cylinder which is used to position the gun in the player's hands. Leave that as it is. So now we come down to the grip. This contains the disabled cylinder referenced above. You can switch this on and use it to line up your gun so that it goes in the player's hands. So now I'm going to drag my gun model into the scene, and I'm going to drag it into the prefab of the barrel. I'm going to make it a child of the grip next to the dummy gun that I've already got in the sample art. And I'm going to copy the transform, the position of the dummy gun in relation to the grip, and I'm going to paste it onto my copy of the rifle. There's obviously an offset on my rifle, but I've still got a lot of useful information there, easier than doing it by hand, and I can just rotate it 90 degrees and position it so that the handle and the barrel are in line with the other gun. Now I can delete the dummy gun completely from the scene and switch off the cylinder, which I don't want to be visible, but I still want to be a child of the barrel. I'm going to delete the stand-in muzzle flash as well, and I'm going to grab one from my project, and I'll make that also a child of the grip next to the rifle, and I'm just going to zero this out so that it's next to the gun, and then I'll just fiddle around and get it positioned correctly. Now what I need to do is add the new muzzle flash to the fire event, and I'm going to go particle system play, and I'm going to disable play on awake on the particle so that it only fires when I pull the trigger. Now I'm going to rename the item and move on to the barrel remote, which, as I say, is very similar, almost identical, except for a few less scripts so that it's more efficient on the network. So I'm going to duplicate my entire grip from the main gun that I've just created and drag that up, and I'm going to grab again the transform position on the grip and paste that in on the new one that I've moved across. So now I've got the gun and the muzzle in the right place. I'm going to drag my new muzzle into the fire event muzzle flash, into the fire event position on the barrel, and I'm going to drag my bullet from my project into the bullet reference on the barrel, and I'm going to drag, because I replaced the entire grip, I'm going to drag the cylinder from the new grip across, because that means that I can now call this my grip, and I can delete the entire previous grip. And I think that's probably the fastest way to duplicate across those two. Okay, and now I'm going to look at the mouse view gun. The barrel has all the same settings, scripts and components as the main gun. I'm going to duplicate my grip again from the previous gun, drag it into position, and again copy the transform position from my prior art and paste it onto my new grip. Now I can delete the old grip again, and I can rename this one grip, and I can drag my muzzle flash into the fire event and set particle system play. I can drag the cylinder into the object reference, and again I want to go into the project and update my bullet from the dummy content in the sample art. I'm also going to enlarge this gun slightly so that it's close and nuzzled up against the player's shoulder. There's also a canvas with an image file on it for the crosshair that you see in mouse view, and I'm going to replace that with a 256 PNG to give the gun a unique crosshair. Now I'm going to create a fire animation. I create a new animation on the grip. I'm going to keyframe a simple back and forward animation over a half-second period. I'm going to come into the animator and I'm going to make a transition from any state to gun fire. I'm going to create a trigger parameter and I'm going to call it fire. And I'm going to come to the transition and I'm going to reference that in the conditions. Now I'm going to come back to the barrel and I'm going to add a new event to fire. I'm going to drag the grip into the event, and I'm going to go down to animator, set trigger string, fire. Now I've got a little bit of recoil on the gun in the mouse view. Okay, so I have set up my three guns. Now let's look at the gun giver. This is the object in the scene that users need to walk over to get this type of gun. On the parent object, you can see our standard virtual goods and room furniture components. If we open it up, we can see there is a model of the gun and the gun giver. You don't have to put a model of the gun in here, but I'm going to put my gun in so people can see which gun they get when they pick it up. You can add other effects if you want, open a crate or have it animated. You can even show the stats of the gun on a world space canvas. Now let's look at the gun giver itself. there are 5 parameters on the gun giver script: gun type, bullets, bullet interval, and order. Gun type is referenced here and in the gun bar and gun changer. I am calling this gun 1. Bullet type, we give the same naming convention as on the barrels. Bullets is the number of bullets in the gun when you pick it up. Remember, the maximum number of bullets a gun can carry is defined on the combat meter on the safe zone lobby. Bullet interval. The gun giver also acts as an ammo crate for that type of gun. The bullet interval is the cooldown rate for giving ammo. Order is where in the gun bar this gun will appear. In the resources, I'm going to reference all the items I just configured, new prefabs in a new folder for the gun, the remote gun, the mouse view gun, the bullet, and the animation override. There is also an icon field, which is where I put the icon for the gun which will appear in the gun bar on the player HUD when they collect the weapon. There is also a trigger activator on the base of the object, which triggers the event giving the gun when the player walks within the collider attached to the object. You might remember we had a proximity activator on the safe zone in the previous video. We have a number of different activators you can use. Of course, you could do something completely different if you want to. Use a clickable activator or a canvas button or some other event to give the gun to the player. You could even set up your NPCs so they drop guns when you kill them. Note, this activator is set to owner only, so I don't give the gun to everyone in the game at once. Okay, that object is now all done, and I can fill out the virtual goods component and upload it. If you're building from scratch instead of modifying our templates, remember to add the room furniture item so it can be spawned in the scene. You don't need either of these, of course, if you're just leaving this as a static asset in the scene and uploading that. In the next video, we'll be looking at health and ammo givers.